Well, welcome back, and that was a delightful conversation. Isn't it true, though, when you're around people that are grace people, it encourages you to talk. You feel accepted, and that's what spiritual parenting is all about.
I was surprised at how it was mentioned that the punishing parent can also be the gracious parent. Grace is not opposite punishment. It's just what needs to happen as a part of the whole process. I thought of Reverend Walt Wangren, who tells a story of his son who stole some comic books. And Pastor Wangren tried everything he could think of, and he finally spanked his son. And then he sent him to his room, and then Pastor Wangren went into the bathroom and just cried. He was so frightened that his son was going to become this thief as an adult. And then he washed his face and dried his face and went back and talked to his son a little bit, and they kind of closed it out, and he never took another comic book. Years later, the son was being driven home from basketball by his mother, and he said, Mom, after Dad spanked me, I never took another comic book. You know that? And she just said, well, yeah, it was because it was just out of the blue. And he said, you know why I never took another comic book? And she said, well, yeah, because your dad spanked you. And he said, no, Mom, because Dad cried. That's what grace is. It's not refraining from punishment, but it's showing your child how much it hurts to have to do that.
Yeah. Our next point leads into that very topic, how to protect your child spiritually. Because that's what Pastor Wangren wanted to do. He wanted to protect the child spiritually. As parents of 2-year-olds, you know so keenly how watchful you must be so your 2-year-old does not get off the leash and through the parking lot and all the other kinds of hazards that await them. But have you thought about what hazards await your 2-year-old spiritually? And that's an interesting conversation. If your child fashioned his or her value system based on what they get from an hour's worth of TV, what would they be told that's going to make them happy? Let's get more things, right? And you know that just getting more things doesn't make us happy. That's contrary to God's plan for us. And there even might be more hazards fraught with television and media.
Now you might think, why on earth are we talking about TV with 2-year-olds? Well, there's a very significant and scientific reason why, in addition to spiritual. For example, when a child is born, his or her genetic hardwiring is in place. For example, they make noise, they cry, they know how to go to the bathroom. All those things happen naturally. Even they're prepared to walk. They're wired to be able to do all the things that are kind of instinctive for us. But at birth, the soft wiring is not yet complete, and that takes some time to do. For example, which language will they speak? Will they learn to dance the tango? What are the rules of social interaction in the family or in the neighborhood? What is right and wrong? What is moral thinking? All those things have to be experienced by the child, and you guys are the ones who help do that soft wiring. The neural networks develop at their fastest pace in our children's brains between the ages of 3 and 10. And the link between emotion and behavior is actually significantly higher than the link between knowledge and behavior. This is why in our church and our Sunday school, we want to make sure kids have fun. We also want to make sure that when we have a serious moment, it is extremely serious and dramatic, if we can make it that. And those kids remember those events, and they remember those experiences because their emotions drew them into their memory. Humor lowers our inhibitions and breaks down our attitudinal barriers. Whoever tells the stories defines the culture. That's why TV is important. Now, why is it important for a 2-year-old? It's important for this reason as well. Way back in 1998, David Walsh of the National Institute on Media and the Family announced that the most watched TV program amongst 2 to 4-year-olds was
What do you think
in 1998.
for 2-year-olds?
Barney. Sesame
Barney.
That's what I thought, Barney.
Sesame Street.
The most watched TV show amongst 2 to 4-year-olds was Friends. Now, if their hardwiring, if their soft wiring is just being developed, their understanding of what's right and what's wrong is just coming together, and they're watching TV shows where men and women sleep together, where there's all sorts of language issues. If you think about the kinds of things that you'd see on Friends, do you really want your child developing their sense of understanding of what's right and wrong about life based on the values of that TV show? I don't think we do. So we want to protect our children spiritually by the kind of media they experience, even at the young age of 2, 3, 4.
This is a critical topic to spiritual parenting. And we need to be aware that television is a spiritual issue. And it's our job to protect our children spiritually. So let's talk about this. What will be your biggest issue to manage television and media in your house with a 2-year-old in mind? What's going to be your biggest challenge in managing television? Let's take 2 minutes each and talk about that.